again, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Last video I did, I talked about the Christensen Arms 6.5 PRC, and in that video I mentioned this Remington 700. This Remington 700 is chambered in 260, and it's a very nice shooter. I've got I'm shooting less than 1/4 inch groups with it. Of course, I reload, but it also does very well with factory ammo. Right now I'm shooting 123 grain SSTs in it, and I'm shooting 140 grain SSTs in it. Both of them are less than 1/4 inch. I got lucky on the 140 grains when I developed that load. I had a load worked out perfect, and anyway, I could probably adjust things and probably make it shoot a little bit better, but at 1/4 inch groups at 100 yards, I think I'm set. So anyway, first off, it's got the Magpul Hunter stock on it. The Magpul Hunter is made with reinforced polymer. It's got the M-lock design where you can put your attachments and things to. It's got several different sling options that you can get if you check out Magpul online, go to their website. I'm not a sponsor, or I don't have any sponsors. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I'm just doing this review and just tell you this setup works for me and I like it. So the stock weighs about 3 pounds. The fore end is about 2.3 inches. Let's see here. The length of pull is between 13 and 15 inches, depending on your spacers that you can put on here. It's got several different cheek rises, so you do it. You can put these things on and do what's comfortable for you. But it's a real nice setup. I really like it. It's got the 5-round detachable magazine. As far as that goes, it's also got the aluminum anodized bedding block inside, and I don't know if that, I imagine that has something to do with the how good the harmonics and everything are on it. That's why the groups are so tight, but I don't know. I'm just, this setup works, but I'm not a professional in that kind of stuff, and I don't claim to be. But yeah, as far as the rifle itself goes, the only thing I've done different to the rifle is I replaced the trigger. Even the factory trigger was nice, but I just wanted something different, a little bit lighter. But anyway, triggers, that's one thing that I recommend if you're going to have anything done as far as work goes. Take it to a gunsmith, let them do it. They know how to properly drop test them and things like that. So you just want to make sure that when you have something done in your firearm, it's safe. And if you don't know what you're doing, well, you can fill in the blank there. Everything I do here is just for entertainment purposes only. I'm not recommending anything, recommending any product, or recommend you doing anything to a firearm. Like I said, take it to a professional. I've actually taken a gunsmith course, and that's one thing too. If you want to learn more about that, I'll be happy to do a review on the school itself. It was Modern Gun School is the course I took. They're very good at getting back with you and communicating with you. They have projects and things like that. You could also, if you wanted to, you could go check out another review online. I know there's several people that do a few reviews on Modern Gun School, but if you'd like me to do one, I'd be happy to. But yeah, it really taught me a lot as far as everything that goes into being a gunsmith, from paperwork to troubleshooting firearms, reaming, you name it. I mean, it goes over everything. It's really in detail, but you have to read. It's not like one of these things you go online and you actually have an online course. Okay, it's all a lot of reading. It's 2 great big books that you got to learn, and you got to take tests on. But you know, if you're not into learning from reading, it might not be for you. But anyway, so back to this. I guess I need to cover the optics. I put a Vortex Diamondback on. It's first focal plane, 6-24 by 50. Got your parallax adjustment on it. It's a nice setup, affordable. Well, with the first focal plane, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's worth the investment. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story about equipment. So about 4 years ago, I had a muzzleloader, and it was one of these package deals. You buy it and get the scope already on it and everything. And I'm not going to mention the name of the scope rings or anything like that, but anyway, I don't want to dog any company on here. But when I got the muzzleloader, I noticed that the scope was, wasn't level. It was just kind of thrown together, so I took it apart and put it back, leveled everything up, and anyway, I went hunting with it. Torqued everything to specs, went hunting with it. My boy was with me, Hunter, my oldest son, and we were up in the tree stand, and it was getting later in the evening, sun was setting, and real nice day, calm, and I heard something coming, and I looked over at my son. I said, "Look, there's a deer." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, look at that buck. Biggest buck I've ever seen, as far as being in the wild." I mean, I've seen bigger on hunting shows and things like that, but this is the first buck that I've ever seen that was that big, buck of a lifetime, if you ask me, Anyway, my son was sitting beside me, and I took aim, and the deer stopped, and he was checking a scrape out, and there was 2 trees about this far apart, probably about 6 to 8 inches in diameter. Perfect wide open shot, as far as shooting in between those 2 trees at 2 foot, perfect shot at the vitals. So I put the muzzleloader up and got him right behind the shoulder, put the crosshairs right behind the shoulder, and I pulled the trigger. Well, my goodness, that buck jumped, kicked. It's like, yeah, I got him, My son, he thought I got him too. He ran down the ridge and went out of sight. And we got out of the tree stand. We were excited because I knew I got him. I thought, just the way he acted, I thought. And anyway, it was kind of marshy, kind of, get a good idea of tracking. Track showed up good, so I tracked him, but no blood. Well, we looked until it got dark, couldn't find anything. So I go home, I'm sick. I mean, I'm upset. I thought I wounded that deer. It got away. I'm never going to find it. Anyway, the next day I talked to my buddy. He lives a couple miles from me. He said, "Why don't you come up here and shoot that muzzleloader?" So I packed up everything, went out there, we set up about 75 yards out, which was about approximately how far the buck was away when I shot at him. Anyway, shot the muzzleloader and shot about a foot right and 6 inches low. So I knew I missed him right then. Well, I went home and I started looking over at everything and started tearing things apart. Well, one of the scope rings, it only had 2 screws on each side of the scope ring, you know, or 1 screw on each side, and it was one of the back ones. Well, when I took it apart, it had this little bitty thin washer. I mean paper thin. And anyway, I looked in the ring itself and it's a great big old hole through it where the screw had pulled through, you know, where you're supposed to apply the torque, you know, that holds the torque to that scope. Well, it had pulled through, and that was my issue. And that's one reason why I spend money on equipment as far as scope rings. I don't go cheap. I don't mind going cheaper on the scope, but as far as what holds the scope on, I actually spend, you know, some pretty good, decent money on. I don't ever want to have that happen again, because you know you take a chance in wounding the animal and stuff. But anyway, so a couple days later, I went, same stand, and went to go check out where that deer was standing, and was looking at the trees that he was standing behind. And I looked, and sure enough, there's a .50 caliber muzzleloader ball that hit that tree. And I don't know why that deer acted. I guess he just got excited. But anyway, you know, with by experience with that and having a tracking dog, a lot of times people that call me say, well, it did the mule kick, you know, it kicked. And so after that, when people tell me that, well, it's not always the case, you know, when a deer kicks, you know. I think they do that out of excitement, you know, the blast of the rifle, you know. I think that's why. But anyway, like I said, I don't know everything, but that's my experience. So anyway, other than that, I think that pretty much covers this rifle. Like I said, if there's any other thing you want me to cover on it, just, you know, kind of leave a comment. I appreciate you coming by. Like I said, everything in this video is for entertainment only, so that's my disclaimer. Don't be, which I haven't done anything as far as working on anything, but anything I do or show you, it's just for entertainment only. Okay. So anyway, other than that, I think we covered this. So y'all have a good day. I'll see you again. Shoot straight.